The chapter opens with me, Blair Cassidy, waking up with a jolt in my childhood bedroom in Greenwich, Connecticut, the exact morning of May 15th, 2023. The date is burned into my memory because this was the day everything fell apart the first time. I sit up, gasping, my hands flying to my face as the weight of what just happened crashes over me. I was dead. I remember the cold water filling my lungs, the desperate thrashing, the way the current pulled me under after I jumped from the Mercy Bridge. And now I'm here, 17 years old again, with 10 years of catastrophic memories rattling around inside my teenage skull. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. It's a text from my older sister. Daphne, coffee in 20. Need to talk. It's important. I nearly dropped the phone. The last time I lived through this day, I deleted that message without a second thought. Too busy being a brat to care what Daphne needed. That was the first mistake of many. This time, I type back, on my way. Don't move. The next hour is a blur of controlled panic. I know exactly what's coming. By noon, my father Richard will sign over power of attorney to Daphne's boyfriend Julian Thorne, a charming British venture capitalist who's actually running one of the most sophisticated inheritance fraud operations on the East Coast. By evening, my mother Eleanor will have transferred her grandmother's jewelry into Julian's safe custody. Within 3 months, my parents will be liquidating assets to cover debts that don't exist. Within a year, they'll lose the house, the summer home in Nantucket, the trust fund my great-grandfather built, and me. I'll watch it all. Too young to do anything. Too naive to understand what's happening until it's far too late. Not this time. I skip breakfast and head straight to the garage, where my father keeps his rainy day safe behind a false panel. Most people don't know about the lottery ticket, but I know everything now. I know that today. At 2:17 p.m. Richard Cassidy will discover that the Powerball ticket he bought on a whim last week is worth $372 million. I know he'll announce it at dinner like it's casual news. I know Daphne will call Julian within the hour. I know Julian will show up at our door by 9 p.m. with champagne and crocodile tears. So I beat him to it. At 1:45 p.m., I intercept the ticket. My father left it in the breast pocket of his blazer, the one hanging in the mudroom. I've done this before. Not in real life, but in my memories. Replaying this day 10,000 times in my head while I rotted in that women's shelter after losing everything. I know exactly where it is. I slip it into my pocket and replace it with a duplicate. A losing ticket from last month's drawing that looks identical at a glance. My hands don't shake. I've had 10 years to rehearse this. At 2:17 p.m., I hear my father's sharp intake of breath from the study. Then silence. Then his footsteps, heavy and stunned, walking past my room toward my mother's art studio. I hear muffled voices, the creak of floorboards, and then nothing. He doesn't announce it at dinner. He doesn't call anyone. The first time around, he was so excited he couldn't contain himself. This time, the duplicate ticket shows nothing. The windfall that should have destroyed my family simply doesn't happen. Or so my family thinks. At 7 p.m., I slip out the back door and walk 3 blocks to the old railroad depot, now a bus station. I'm wearing a hoodie and sunglasses even though it's dusk. The payout office is a nondescript gray building on Maple Street. No sign. No fanfare. I present the ticket. I present the fake ID I remembered how to make from my years on the street. Marjorie Klein. Age 34. Address in Newark. I take the lump sum, minus taxes. $372 million becomes $204. $6 million. The check is handed to me in a plain white envelope. I walk to the key bank on Main Street before it closes. I open 3 accounts under 3 different names. Accounts I memorized the procedures for from my past life. By 8:30 p.m., the money is distributed. Untraceable. And I'm back in my bedroom changing into pajamas like nothing happened. At 9 p.m. exactly, Julian Thorne's black Range Rover pulls into our circular driveway. He's taller than I remember. More handsome. In that predatory way that makes women trust him before they realize they've been gutted. His hair is dark and perfectly tousled. His jaw sharp enough to cut glass. He wears a charcoal suit with no tie. The top button of his shirt undone just enough to suggest he's comfortable. Unpretentious. I learned later that he spends 45 minutes achieving that effortless look. Blair. Daphne calls from the foyer. Come say hi to Julian. I take my time descending the stairs. In my past life, I rushed down like an eager puppy, desperate for his approval. Desperate for him to like me so I could feel important. Julian had played me like a fiddle, complimenting my art, pretending to care about my opinions, making me feel seen in ways my own family never bothered to. By the time I realized he was using me as a spy inside my own home, it was too late. This time, I stop on the 5th step and lean against the banister. Hey! Julian's smile is blinding. Blair, you've grown. Last time I saw you, you were… What? 14. 15. And no, I haven't grown. I'm still 5'2". He laughs. A warm sound that makes my mother's shoulders relax. Sharp as ever. I see. Daphne wraps herself around his arm like a vine. She's 24. Beautiful in that icy blonde way that makes people assume she's dumb until she opens her mouth. She's not dumb. She's just desperate. Our parents have always been distant. Dad buried in his hedge fund. Mom buried in her canvases. Daphne spent her whole childhood chasing their approval and never catching it. Julian showed up when she was 22. Fresh out of Columbia. Working as a junior analyst at some boutique firm. He was everything she'd been waiting for. Rich. Connected. Attentive. He told her she was special. He told her he loved her ambition. He told her he wanted to help her family. What he actually wanted was a roadmap to our assets. Dinner's at 7:30. My mother says, emerging from the kitchen with a wine glass already half empty. This is new. My mother didn't drink in the first timeline until after Julian got his hooks in. Now I realize she was already drinking. I just wasn't paying attention. Blair, can you set the table? I set the table. But while I'm in the dining room, I also slip my phone under the centerpiece. Recording audio. I learned this trick from a PI I met at the shelter. A woman who lost everything to a man just like Julian. She taught me that rich predators are sloppy because they've never been caught. They assume everyone is too stupid or too intimidated to document their crimes. Dinner is polite. Julian asks my father about his work. My mother about her gorgeous paintings. Daphne about her day. He asks me about school. I give monosyllabic answers, which makes him work harder. He tells a story about a business trip to Singapore. He asks my father's opinion on emerging markets. He praises the wine. A 2016 Bordeaux that my father opened specially. Everything is designed to disarm, to charm, to suggest that Julian Thorne is exactly the kind of man any family would be lucky to have. Then, as the plates are being cleared, he drops the first hook. Richard, I've been meaning to ask. Have you considered restructuring the trust? My father's fork pauses midair. The Cassidy Trust. Exactly. I've been looking at the documents Daphne showed me. And frankly, the tax implications are brutal. With the right adjustments, you could save your children and future grandchildren millions, possibly tens of millions. My mother perks up. We've been worried about that. Richard's father set it up so rigidly. Of course, Julian says, leaning back in his chair. These old trusts are designed for a different era. I have a team in London that specializes in modernization. They've done incredible work for families like yours. If you're open to it, I could have them draw up some proposals. No obligation. Of course. Just a conversation. No obligation. My mind echoes bitterly. Just a conversation. That's how it started last time. A conversation. Then a meeting. Then a signature. Then another signature. Each one small. Each one reasonable. Each one moving another piece of our wealth into Julian's reach. I'd like to see those proposals. My father says. Dad. My voice cuts through the table like a blade. Everyone turns to look at me. In the first timeline, I was scrolling through my phone at this moment, too absorbed in a text from my friend Chloe to notice what was happening. Not this time. Yes. Blair. My father's eyebrow arches. Maybe we should have our own lawyer look at anything Julian's team sends over. Just to be thorough. Julian's smile doesn't flicker. But I see it. The micro-tensing of his jaw. The way his pupils contract just slightly. He's recalculating. He didn't expect resistance from the 17-year-old. That's very wise. Julian says smoothly. You should always have independent counsel. I'd expect nothing less from Richard Cassidy's daughter. Daphne frowns at me. Blair, don't be rude. Julian is trying to help. I'm not being rude. I'm being careful. I meet Julian's eyes. You understand, don't you? With everything that's been in the news about financial fraud, a family can never be too careful. The air around the table changes. My father looks at me with something like surprise. My mother sets down her wine glass. Daphne's cheeks flush pink. Anger or embarrassment. I can't tell. Julian raises his glass in my direction. To the family watchdog. Cheers. I don't drink. After dinner, I help my mother with dishes while Daphne and Julian sit on the patio. Their voices low and intimate. Through the kitchen window, I watch Julian lean close to my sister's ear. His hand on her knee. She's nodding. Her expression shifting from annoyance to determination. He's coaching her. I'd bet everything I've hidden that he's telling her how to handle me. He seems nice. My mother says. Scrubbing a pan that's already clean. He seems like a lot of things. My mother looks at me sideways. You don't like him. I don't trust him. Because he's rich. Because he's too smooth. I take the pan from her hands and put it in the drying rack. Mom, just be careful. Okay. Don't sign anything he gives you. Don't transfer anything he asks for. Promise me. She laughs. But it's hollow. Blair, you're 17. You don't understand business. I understand people who want something from us. My mother stops laughing. She looks at me for a long moment. Something flickering behind her eyes. Recognition. Maybe. Or guilt. I'll never know which. She dries her hands on a towel and says, I'll be careful. It's not a promise. But it's something. That night, I lie awake in bed and listen to the audio recording from dinner. Julian's voice is butter over gravel. Every word perfectly placed. But when I speed it up, I hear what I missed in real time. The slight hesitation before no obligation. The emphasis on just a conversation. The way he steers every topic back to money. I tag the timestamps and save the file in 3 different cloud accounts. Then I pull up the financial dashboard I built during my years of homelessness. The one that tracks every account I've ever had access to. The $204. $6 million sits quietly. Accruing interest. I've already started moving small amounts into diversified investments. Index funds. Municipal bonds. A handful of real estate holdings under shell companies. By the time Julian makes his first major move, I'll have enough passive income to counter anything he tries. But I'm not just protecting the money. I'm protecting my family from themselves. And if I have to destroy Julian Thorne to do it, I'm more than ready. The next 2 weeks unfold like a chess match I've already played before. Julian's team sends over the trust restructuring proposal on a Friday afternoon. My father, predictably, forwards it to our family attorney, a tired old man named Harold Pence who's been collecting Cassidy retainer fees since 1998 and hasn't won a difficult case since 2003. Harold declares the proposal interesting and worth exploring. In the first timeline, that was enough for my father. This time, I intercept the email and draft a response from a fake consultant account I set up weeks ago. Sutton Associates. Wealth protection. The response cites 3 specific red flags in Julian's proposal. Flags so subtle that Harold missed them entirely. The email suggests an independent forensic audit before any signatures. My father, impressed by the unsolicited expertise, calls Sutton Associates for a consultation. He speaks to a burner phone I leave in my locker at school. I pitch him a voice that sounds like a 45-year-old woman who's seen some things. Gravelly. Confident. Slightly bored. We schedule a meeting for the following Tuesday. Meanwhile, Julian escalates. He starts showing up at the house unannounced, always with a gift. Flowers for my mother. A rare first edition for my father. A designer handbag for Daphne. For me, he brings art supplies. High-end watercolors. A set of Japanese brushes. A sketchbook bound in Italian leather. I accept each gift politely, then photograph the barcodes and serial numbers. I've learned that Julian's gifts aren't spontaneous. They're logged in a database he keeps of every person he's cultivating. The more expensive the gift, the more he expects in return. On Sunday, Daphne corners me in the hallway. What's your problem? She demands. Her arms crossed. Specifics would help. Don't get cute with me. Blair, you've been acting weird ever since Julian came over for dinner. You barely talk to him. You question everything he says. You're making Mom and Dad nervous. Good. She grabs my arm, her nails digging in. Listen to me. Julian is the best thing that's ever happened to this family. He's rich. He's connected. He loves me. And if you mess this up for us, I will never forgive you. Does he love you, Daphne? Or does he love the idea of your trust fund? Her face goes white, then red. You don't know anything about him. I know he's been married before. Twice. Actually. Both annulled. Both women signed NDAs so airtight they can't even talk about what happened. I pull her hand off my arm. I know he declared bankruptcy in 2018 under a different name. I know his venture capital firm has 2 employees and no verifiable exits. I know his London address is a mail forwarding service. And I know that last year, a family in Greenwich, the Harrisons, lost $7 million to a financial advisor who looked just like Julian. Daphne's breathing is shallow. Where are you getting this? I did my homework. You're 17. You don't know how to do homework like this. I lean closer. Then maybe I'm not the only one who's been underestimated. She stares at me for a long moment. Then she laughs. A sharp, brittle sound that tells me I've hit a nerve. You're jealous. That's what this is. You're jealous that I have someone and you don't. Sure. Daph. Let's go with that. She storms off toward her room. But I hear her pause at the top of the stairs. I hear her phone dial. I hear her say, low and urgent, Julian, we have a problem. It's Blair. The next morning, my mother knocks on my door at 6 a.m. She's holding a cup of coffee and wearing a robe I've never seen before. Silk. Expensive. Probably another gift from Julian. We need to talk, she says. I let her in. She sits on the edge of my bed, her hands wrapped around the mug like it's a lifeline. Your father and I have noticed that you've been different lately. Different how? More mature. More withdrawn. And frankly, more suspicious of Julian than seems reasonable. She looks at me, and for a moment, I see the woman she was before Julian. Sharp. Perceptive. The kind of person who could read a room in seconds. The alcohol has dulled her edges, but the steel is still there underneath. Did something happen? Something you want to tell me? What can I say? I lived through the next 10 years. I watched you lose everything. I watched Dad have a heart attack when the bank took the house. I watched Daphne marry Julian and then disappear. Literally vanish. After she signed over her share. I ended up on the streets because I had nowhere else to go. And then I ended up in the river because I couldn't take another day of not knowing where my next meal would come from. And now I'm back. And I'm going to burn his whole life down. I say none of this. I had a dream. I tell her instead. A really vivid one. In the dream, Julian took everything. The house, the money, the paintings, everything. And then he left Daphne with nothing. Not even a goodbye. My mother's face softens. Oh, honey, it was just a dream. It felt real. Dreams often do. She sets the coffee on my nightstand and pulls me into a hug. She smells like turpentine and Chanel No. 5. But you have to understand, Julian has been nothing but kind to us. He's helped Daphne with her career. He's given us financial advice that our own lawyer thought was sound. He's isolating you. I say into her shoulder. He's making you dependent on him. That's what people like him do. She pulls back. Her brow furrowed. People like him. Predators. The word hangs in the air between us. My mother's lips part. Then close. For a moment. I think I've reached her. Then she shakes her head and stands up. I'm going to forget you said that. She says quietly. And you're going to forget this conversation ever happened. Blair, I love you. But you're pushing too hard. If you keep this up, you're going to drive Daphne away. And I won't have that. She leaves. The coffee grows cold on my nightstand. I sit in the gray morning light and try to remember why I'm doing this. Why I'm risking everything to save people who don't want to be saved. Then I remember the water. The cold. The dark. The way the current pulled me under, and I stopped fighting because fighting felt pointless. I pull up my financial dashboard. $204. $6 million. I can do a lot with that kind of money. I can hire private investigators. I can pay for forensic accountants. I can build a case so airtight that Julian will spend the rest of his life in a federal prison. But first, I need evidence. Real evidence. And I know exactly where to find it. At noon. I tell my parents I'm going to the library to study for finals. Instead, I take the train to Manhattan. Julian's office is on the 14th floor of a building on Wall Street. A WeWork space he rents by the month. Decorated to look like a real investment firm. I've been here before. In the first timeline. When I was stupid enough to believe he wanted to mentor me. The receptionist is a bored blonde named Tiffany who's worked for Julian for 3 years. In the first timeline, she testified against him at his trial. The only witness who cooperated fully with the prosecution. She'd been keeping copies of everything. Just in case. I walk in like I belong there. Wearing my most expensive outfit and carrying a leather tote bag that cost more than some people's rent. Tiffany looks up. Her expression flickering with recognition. Blair Cassidy. What are you doing here? Julian asked me to pick up some files. He's at the house with Daphne and forgot them. Tiffany hesitates. He didn't mention. He doesn't mention a lot of things. I smile. Wide and innocent. Come on. Tiff. It's just files. What's the worst that could happen? She laughs nervously. You sound just like him. That's the idea. She buzzes me through. I walk past the reception desk. Past the empty conference room. Past the 3 cubicles where Julian's team occasionally pretends to work. His office is at the end of the hall. Glass-walled and locked. The code is his birthday backwards. I watched him enter it 20 times in my past life. I punch it in. The lock clicks. The office is exactly as I remember it. Minimalist. Expensive. Designed to intimidate. A desk made of reclaimed wood. A chair that probably costs more than my car. Shelves lined with books Julian has never read. And in the bottom drawer of his filing cabinet, behind a false panel, the thumb drive. I've thought about this moment for 10 years. I've dreamed about it. I've rehearsed it. And now that I'm here, my hands are steady. I find the drive. A tiny black USB stick, unlabeled, and slip it into my pocket. Then I replace it with an identical drive I prepared ahead of time, loaded with corrupted files and a tracking program that will alert me whenever anyone accesses it. I close the drawer. I lock the office. I smile at Tiffany on my way out. Tell Julian I said hi. Back on the train. I plug the thumb drive into my laptop. The files open immediately. No encryption. Because Julian is arrogant enough to believe no one would ever find them. There are spreadsheets. Dozens of them. Lists of names. Addresses. Account numbers. Transfer histories. I recognize some of the names. The Harrisons. The Baileys. The Chens. Families who trusted Julian. Families who lost everything. And then I find it. The file labeled Cassidy, Strategy. I open it. My hands shake for the first time. The file is a detailed plan for dismantling my family. It includes psychological profiles of each of us. My father's pride. My mother's insecurity. Daphne's need for validation. My own naive trust, his words. It includes timetables for every stage of the operation. Stage 1. Gain trust through courtship of Daphne. Stage 2. Identify assets and access points. Stage 3. Begin extraction through legal and financial instruments. Stage 4. Disappear. The final page has a single line, bolded and underlined. Target completion. June 2025. June 2025 is 14 months from now. I close the laptop. I lean my head against the train window and watch the Connecticut suburbs blur past. I should feel vindicated. I should feel powerful. Instead, I feel hollow, because I know what comes next. Julian isn't going to stop just because I'm in his way. He's going to accelerate. He's going to try to neutralize me, co-opt me, silence me, or worse. And my family is going to help him do it. When I get home, Daphne is waiting for me in the foyer. Her eyes are red. She's been crying. Julian proposed, she says, holding out her left hand. A diamond the size of a grape glitters on her ring finger. I force myself to smile. Congratulations. He wants to have the engagement party here. Next weekend. He wants to meet everyone. Mom's art friends. Dad's golf buddies. The whole circle. He says he wants to show me off. Of course he does. Daphne's smile wavers. You still don't like him. I like that he makes you happy. It's not a lie. Julian does make Daphne happy. The way a drug makes an addict happy. Temporary. Destructive. But real in the moment. He wants you to be his junior bridesmaid. I blink. What? He asked about you specifically. He said you're the sister he never had. He said he wants you to stand up there with us. The manipulation is so blatant, so textbook, that I almost laugh. Julian isn't trying to include me. He's trying to buy me. He's putting me in the wedding party so I'll feel obligated to support the marriage. So I'll be less likely to raise objections. So I'll be complicit in my own family's destruction. But I don't refuse. Because being in the wedding party means being close to Julian. Means access. Means opportunities. I'd be honored. I say. Daphne pulls me into a hug, her tears soaking my shoulder. Thank you. Blair. Thank you. I know we've had our differences. But this means everything to me. I hug her back and stare at the engagement ring over her shoulder. The diamond is fake. I can tell from here. The cut is wrong. The clarity too perfect. Julian couldn't even bother to buy real jewelry for the woman he's using. I love you, Daph. I whisper. I love you too. I don't know if she means it. I don't know if I mean it. All I know is that this is only the beginning. And Julian Thorne has no idea who he's dealing with. The engagement party is everything Julian promised and more. Our house in Greenwich transforms into a showcase of old money elegance. White tents on the lawn, string lights wrapped around the oak trees, a catered dinner that costs more than most people's weddings. Julian circulates like a politician, shaking hands, kissing cheeks, remembering names. He's magnetic, charming, completely irresistible. And I watch every move like a hawk. My family is glowing. My father hasn't smiled this much in years. My mother is sober for the first time in months, laughing with her art dealer friends, showing off the engagement portrait Julian commissioned. A painting of Daphne and Julian in matching white. Their faces blurred just enough to look timeless. Daphne floats from group to group, her hand always outstretched, showing off that fake diamond like it's the Hope diamond itself. I'm wearing a navy blue dress that Daphne picked out, something demure and appropriate for a junior bridesmaid. I have a small microphone hidden in the strap, connected to my phone in my clutch. Every conversation Julian has tonight is being recorded and uploaded to the cloud. At 8 p.m., Julian finds me on the patio. "Enjoying yourself?" he asks, handing me a glass of champagne. I take it but don't drink. "It's beautiful. Your sister deserves beautiful things." He leans against the railing next to me, close enough that I can smell his cologne. Something expensive and woodsy. "I hear congratulations are in order for you too. You finished your finals with straight A's." "That's impressive." Word travels fast. "Your father mentioned it at dinner the other night. He's very proud of you." Julian sips his champagne. "I was thinking, Blair, you're going to be applying to colleges soon." "Right. I have connections at Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Good words I could put in, if you want." The bribe is so obvious that I almost laugh. Julian doesn't do anything for free. If he puts in a good word for me at an Ivy League school, he'll expect something in return. Access to my parents, influence over their decisions, information about their finances. That's generous, I say carefully. But I think I want to figure things out on my own. Stubborn. I like that. He sets down his champagne glass and turns to face me fully. The party continues behind us. Oblivious. "Can I be honest with you, Blair? Please." I get the sense that you don't trust me. I don't deny it. I just look at him. Julian sighs, running a hand through his hair. "I can't blame you. I'm a stranger. I showed up out of nowhere and suddenly I'm engaged to your sister and giving your parents financial advice. If I were you, I'd be suspicious too. So you understand." "I do. But I also want you to know that my intentions are genuine. I love Daphne. I love your family. And I would never do anything to hurt any of you." The words hang in the air between us. And I think about the thumb drive in my nightstand, the spreadsheets, the profiles. Target completion. June 2025. "Okay," I say. Julian's eyebrows rise. "Okay. I believe you." I smile, wide and trusting, the way I smiled at him in my past life before I knew what he was. "I'm sorry I've been weird. It's just, I'm protective of my family. We've been through a lot. We all have." He puts a hand on my shoulder. Paternal. Reassuring. "Tell you what. Why don't you come to my office next week? I'll show you around. Introduce you to my team. Maybe once you see how I work, you'll feel better about me marrying your sister." The audacity is breathtaking. He's inviting me into the lion's den, expecting me to be impressed by his little WeWork empire. He doesn't know that I've already been there. He doesn't know that I've already taken what I need. "I'd like that," I say. "Perfect." He squeezes my shoulder and walks back into the party. Already shaking hands. Already kissing cheeks. Already working the room like the predator he is. I watch him go and feel nothing but cold determination. The next morning, I wake up to chaos. My father is shouting in the study. My mother is crying in the kitchen. Daphne is pacing the hallway, her phone pressed to her ear. her voice sharp and desperate. I throw on a robe and run downstairs. What happened? My father emerges from the study, his face gray. The trust. Someone's been making unauthorized withdrawals. My blood runs cold. What do you mean? The Cassidy Trust. The one my father set up. Someone accessed it 3 days ago and transferred $5 million to an offshore account. He grips the doorframe like he might fall. The bank flagged it this morning. They're launching an investigation. But who could have done this? My mother wails from the kitchen. I know who. Julian. But he couldn't have accessed the trust without help. And there's only one person who could have given him the information he needed. I look at Daphne. She won't meet my eyes. Daphne, I say slowly, did you give Julian access to the trust? Of course not. Her voice is too high. Too fast. He would never. Daphne, stop looking at me like that. She throws her phone onto the couch. I didn't give him anything. I might have mentioned the account numbers. In passing. He was helping me understand my own finances. And you told him the account numbers. I didn't think he would. You told a con artist the account numbers to your family's trust fund. My voice echoes through the house. My mother stops crying. My father stops breathing. Daphne, do you understand what you've done? It wasn't him. She's crying now. Tears streaming down her face. It couldn't have been him. He loves me. He wants to marry me. Why would he steal from us? Because that's what he does. I grab her shoulders, forcing her to look at me. Daphne, listen to me. Julian Thorne is not who you think he is. He's done this before. To the Harrisons, the Baileys, the Chens. He targets wealthy families, seduces the vulnerable daughter, and drains their accounts. And now he's doing it to us. She shakes her head violently. No. You're wrong. You're just jealous. I have proof. The room goes silent. What proof? My father asks. I take a deep breath. This is the moment I've been waiting for. The moment when I finally show my cards. But showing my cards means revealing how I got the information. It means admitting that I've been hiding things from my family. It means confessing about the lottery ticket. But there's no other choice. Give me 5 minutes. I say. I run upstairs to my room. I grab the thumb drive from its hiding place. Not the fake one. The real one. I also grab a folder I've been assembling for weeks. Bank statements. Incorporation records. Witness testimony from Julian's previous victims. Everything I need to destroy him. When I come back downstairs, my family is gathered in the living room. My father sits in his armchair, his hands folded in his lap. My mother perches on the edge of the couch, a glass of wine clutched in her hands despite the early hour. Daphne stands by the window, her back to us, her shoulders shaking. I plug the thumb drive into the TV. The files appear on the screen. This is Julian Thorne, I say, pulling up his psychological profile of our family. 3 months ago, he started dating Daphne. 2 months ago, he started giving Dad financial advice. 1 month ago, he proposed. And 3 days ago, he stole $5 million from us. My mother gasps. My father leans forward, his eyes fixed on the screen. Where did you get this? He asks. I got it from his office. The day I went to the library. I broke into his WeWork space and copied everything he had on us. You what? My father stands up. Blair, that's illegal. You could go to jail. He's stealing our money. Dad, and you're worried about breaking and entering. He's right. Blair. My mother's voice is quiet, trembling. If you did something illegal, it could hurt us even more. Julian could sue us. He could. He's not going to sue us because he's not going to find out. I pull up another file. This one is a spreadsheet of Julian's past crimes. Look at this. These are the families he's targeted before. The Harrisons lost 7 million. The Baileys lost 12. The Chens lost their entire retirement fund. None of them could prove anything because Julian covered his tracks. But I have the tracks. Mom, I have everything. Daphne turns from the window. Her face is blotchy. Her eyes swollen. How do I know you didn't make all this up? Daphne, how do I know you're not the one who stole the money? You've been acting weird for weeks. You've been sneaking around. You've been lying to us. Her voice rises, cracking with hysteria. Maybe you're the con artist. Maybe you're trying to frame Julian so you can take the money for yourself. The accusation hits me like a physical blow. I stagger back a step, my mouth opening and closing. Your sister has a point. My father says slowly. You've been very secretive, Blair. And now suddenly you have all this evidence. Evidence you obtained illegally. It doesn't look good. He's grooming you. I whisper. Don't you see? He's already turned you against me. That's what predators do. They isolate the people who can see the truth. We're not against you, my mother says. But she won't look at me. Daphne walks toward me, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. If you really want to prove that you're telling the truth, you'll let us talk to Julian. Together. As a family. Absolutely not. He'll just lie. Then you'll be there to catch him in the lie. She stops inches from me, her eyes boring into mine. That's what you want, isn't it? To catch him. I hesitate. She's right. This is what I want. But confronting Julian directly is dangerous. He's a master manipulator. He's been doing this for years. And my family is already primed to believe him over me. But if I refuse, they'll never trust me again. Fine. I say. Call him. Daphne's phone is in her hand before I finish speaking. She dials, puts it on speaker, and sets it on the coffee table. Julian answers on the second ring. Daphne, darling, I was just thinking about you. We need to talk. Daphne says, her voice trembling. About the trust. Someone stole $5 million. A pause. Then, perfectly calibrated confusion. What? That's terrible. Are you okay? The bank is investigating. But Blair thinks. She glances at me. Blair thinks you might have been involved. Another pause. Longer this time. When Julian speaks again. His voice is wounded. Blair thinks I stole from you. Daphne, you know me. You know I would never. Then come over. I cut in. Come over right now and explain everything. Explain why your fingerprints are all over the transfer authorization. Explain why the offshore account traces back to a company you own. Explain why you've done this exact thing to 3 other families. Silence. Then, softly, Blair, I've tried to be patient with you. I've tried to understand why you don't like me. But accusing me of theft, in front of your entire family. He sighs, heavy and theatrical. I think you need help. Professional help. This paranoia isn't healthy. Don't deflect. Answer the question. The question is ridiculous. I have nothing to hide, but I also have nothing to prove to a teenager who's clearly going through something. His voice hardens. If your family wants to talk to me, they can talk to me directly, without you in the room. Daphne looks at my father. My father looks at my mother. My mother looks at the floor. He's right. Blair, my father says. Maybe you should leave. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Dad, leave the room. Blair, his voice is final. We'll handle this. I want to scream. I want to throw the thumb drive at the wall and watch it shatter. I want to tell them everything. About the lottery. About the money. About the 10 years I spent losing everything because they wouldn't listen. But I don't. Because if I tell them about the lottery, they'll know I hid it. They'll know I kept $200 million from them while Julian stole 5. And then they'll really never trust me again. So I leave. I walk upstairs to my room. Close the door. and sit on my bed in the dark. Through the floorboards, I hear murmuring, my family's voices blending with Julian's over the speakerphone. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know if they're believing him or me. But I know one thing for certain. Julian just won this round. And now he knows I'm a threat. The trap has sprung. And I'm the one caught in it. The next 3 days are a masterclass in psychological warfare. Julian. Realizing that I'm the only obstacle between him and my family's fortune, pivots from charm to isolation. He stops coming to the house when I'm home. He stops including me in family dinners. When I walk into a room, the conversation dies. My mother stops making eye contact. My father starts finding reasons to leave. Daphne won't speak to me at all. I'm being frozen out of my own family. And Julian hasn't even had to lift a finger. My family is doing the work for him. On the 4th day, I decide to fight back. I start with my father. He's the key. The one who controls most of the assets. The one whose signature Julian needs for the biggest transfers. If I can convince my father, the rest will follow. I find him in his study at midnight, nursing a glass of scotch. The lights are off except for his desk lamp, casting long shadows across his face. He looks old. Older than I remember him being at this age. Dad. He doesn't look up. Blair. It's late. I know. But we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. We've decided to give Julian the benefit of the doubt while the bank investigates. If he's innocent, we don't want to ruin our relationship with him. If he's guilty, the bank will find out. And if the bank doesn't find out, if Julian covered his tracks the way he always does. My father finally looks at me. His eyes are bloodshot. Tired. What do you want from me? Blair. I want you to listen. I sit down across from him, my knees almost touching his. I know you think I'm being paranoid. I know you think I'm trying to sabotage Daphne's happiness. But I'm not. I'm trying to save us. Save us from what? From him. I pull out my phone and pull up the file I've been working on for days. A chronological breakdown of Julian's activities since he met Daphne. Every gift. Every meeting. Every innocent conversation that just happened to involve financial information. Look at this. Dad. Really look at it. He takes the phone. His eyes scan the screen. At first, his expression is skeptical, then confused, then, slowly, horrified. This is everything. He murmurs. How did you get all this? I have sources. I don't mention the thumb drive. I don't mention the break-in. I've learned that my father will accept the information if he doesn't have to confront how I obtained it. The point is, this isn't random. Julian didn't just happen to fall in love with Daphne. He targeted her. He targeted us. Everything he's done has been calculated to get access to our money. My father sets down the phone. He picks up his scotch, swirls it, sets it down without drinking. You're asking me to believe that my daughter's fiancé is a criminal. I'm asking you to look at the evidence and draw your own conclusion. And what about you? His eyes meet mine. You've been lying to us too. Sneaking around. Hiding things. How do I know you're not the criminal? The question hangs in the air between us. I could tell him the truth. I could tell him about the lottery ticket, the money, the shelter, the river. But I've learned that the truth is sometimes the least convincing argument. Because I'm here. I say simply, I'm still here. Dad, I haven't run away. I haven't taken anything. I'm just trying to protect my family. That's all I've ever wanted. My father stares at me for a long moment. Then he picks up the phone again and scrolls through the evidence. Page by page. I'll talk to Harold. He says finally. Our attorney. I'll ask him to look into Julian's background. Discreetly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He stands up, draining the rest of his scotch in one swallow. If this turns out to be nothing, Blair, if you've just been paranoid, there will be consequences. I understand. He leaves the study. I sit alone in the dark, my heart pounding. It's not a victory. Not yet. But it's a crack in the wall. And cracks can be widened. The next morning, I wake up to a text from an unknown number. Clever girl. But clever isn't the same as smart. I don't need to ask who it is. I delete the message and block the number. But my hands are shaking as I get dressed for school. Julian knows I'm working against him. He knows I'm gathering evidence. And he's not going to just let me win. At lunch, my phone buzzes again. Different number. Different message. Your father called Harold Pence this morning. Harold will call me this afternoon. I will be charming. Harold will be convinced. Your father will be reassured. And you will be exactly where you started. I delete this message too. But I don't block the number. Instead, I forward both messages to a secure email address, the one I set up for evidence collection. Then I call Harold Pence myself. Harold, it's Blair Cassidy. Blair, your father just called me. He asked me to look into Julian Thorne. I know. I lower my voice, even though no one is sitting near me. Harold, I need you to listen carefully. Julian is going to call you this afternoon. He's going to be charming and persuasive. He's going to tell you that I'm paranoid and unstable. He's going to offer to send you documents that prove his innocence. Harold is silent for a moment. How do you know all this? Because he texted me. From a burner phone. He's been threatening me for weeks. Threatening you. Blair, if that's true, you need to go to the police. The police can't do anything without evidence. That's where you come in. I take a deep breath. Harold, I need you to pretend to believe him. Let him send the documents. Let him think he's won. And then give everything to me. Blair, I can't. Harold, please. My family is going to lose everything. Everything. The house. The trust. The paintings. Everything. Unless you help me stop him. Another long silence. When Harold speaks again, his voice is different. Older. Wearier. But also resolved. I've been the Cassidy family attorney for 25 years. He says, I've watched you kids grow up. I've watched your parents struggle. And I've watched Daphne make mistake after mistake with men who didn't deserve her. He pauses. I'll help you. But if this goes wrong, I'm going to deny everything. Understood. I hang up, my heart racing. Harold is on my side. It's not much. He's a tired old lawyer who's past his prime. But he's also the only professional my father trusts. If Harold turns against Julian, my father might finally listen. The rest of the week is a waiting game. Julian sends his documents to Harold. Just like he promised, Harold forwards them to me. I spend hours combing through them, looking for inconsistencies. And I find them. Small things. At first, a date that doesn't match. A signature that's slightly off. An account number that traces back to a shell company in the Caymans. But I need more. I need something undeniable. Something that even my father can't explain away. On Saturday, I get it. It comes in the form of a woman named Maria Santos. She shows up at our front door at 8 a.m., soaking wet from the rain, holding a manila folder against her chest like a shield. She's in her 40s, with dark hair and dark circles under her eyes and the look of someone who hasn't slept in days. I'm looking for Blair Cassidy, she says to my mother. Who answered the door? My mother blinks. Who are you? Someone who should have talked to you a long time ago. Maria looks past my mother, straight at me. I've come down the stairs when I heard the doorbell, my heart pounding for reasons I don't yet understand. Are you Blair? Yes. Maria walks past my mother, who sputters in protest, and stops in front of me. She opens the manila folder. Inside are photographs. Photographs of Julian. Photographs of Julian with a woman who is not my sister. Photographs of Julian with that woman at a courthouse. I'm Julian's wife, Maria says. His real wife. We've been married for 12 years. We have 3 children. The room spins. And I have proof. Maria continues, her voice shaking but steady. Proof that he's done this before. Proof that he's been married to 5 other women while married to me. Proof that he's stolen millions of dollars from families just like yours. She holds out the folder. I've been waiting for someone to be brave enough to fight him. I think you might be that someone. I take the folder. My hands are trembling now. Not from fear, but from relief. This is it. This is the smoking gun. This is everything I've been waiting for. My mother is pale as a ghost. Daphne, she whispers. Someone needs to tell Daphne. I'm already dialing my sister's number. Daphne doesn't answer. I call again. Nothing. Again. Straight to voicemail. My blood runs cold. Where is she? I demand. Where's Daphne? My mother checks her phone. She said she was going to Julian's office. Something about signing prenuptial documents. Her eyes widen. That was 3 hours ago. I grab my keys. Call the police. Tell them to meet me at Julian's office. Blair. Wait. But I'm already at the door. Running to my car. My heart hammering against my ribs. Julian has Daphne. Alone. In his office. With no one else around. And I know what he's capable of. The drive to Manhattan takes 45 minutes. I make it in 30. I don't remember the turns. The lights. The other cars. I just remember the rage. Cold and clear and absolute. I park illegally in front of Julian's building and run inside. The lobby is empty. The elevator takes forever. I take the stairs instead. 3 at a time. My lungs burning. The door to Julian's office is locked. I pound on it. Daphne. Open the door. Silence. I pound again. Daphne. It's Blair. Open the door. Still nothing. I step back. Look around. And see the fire extinguisher on the wall. I grab it. Swing it against the door handle. And the lock shatters. The door swings open. Daphne is sitting in Julian's desk chair. Her wrists bound with zip ties. A strip of duct tape over her mouth. Her eyes are wide and terrified, tears streaming down her face. Julian is standing behind her, a knife in his hand. Come in. Blair, he says, his voice calm. I've been expecting you. The room is frozen. Julian stands behind Daphne, the blade of his knife reflecting the fluorescent light. His face is calm. Too calm. Like he's been rehearsing this moment for years. Maybe he has. Let her go. I say, let her go. Julian laughs. A soft sound that doesn't reach his eyes. I haven't done anything to her. Yet. She's perfectly fine. Aren't you? Darling. Daphne makes a muffled sound behind the tape. Her body trembling. See. She's fine. Julian tilts his head. Studying me. You know, Blair. I've been running this game for 15 years. I've taken money from families in 6 different states. I've married women on 3 continents. And through all of it, no one has ever come as close to stopping me as you have. I keep my eyes on the knife. I'm flattered. You should be. He moves the blade in a slow arc, never pointing it directly at Daphne, but never pointing it away either. I've been trying to figure you out. How did a 17-year-old girl from Greenwich get smart enough to dig up my past? Did someone help you? Did you hire a PI? I'm just observant. No. He shakes his head. No. There's something else. You knew things you shouldn't have known. Details I never put in writing. Details I only discussed in private conversations. His eyes narrow. You're not just observant. You've done this before. Somehow. Some way. You've done this before. My heart skips a beat. He's closer to the truth than I ever expected. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you do. Julian presses the knife against Daphne's shoulder. Not hard enough to draw blood. but hard enough to make her whimper. And I think you're going to tell me everything, or your sister is going to have a very bad day. Don't. The word comes out harsher than I intended. Don't hurt her. She hasn't done anything to you. She introduced me to your family. That's plenty. Julian's smile is thin and cruel. But you're right. Hurting her would be messy. And I don't like messy. He pulls the knife away from Daphne's shoulder and gestures toward the desk. Sit down. Blair, we're going to have a conversation. And then we're going to come to an arrangement. I don't sit. What kind of arrangement? The kind where you disappear. Not permanently. I'm not a monster. Just long enough for me to finish what I started. You go to Europe. Study abroad. See the sights. And when you come back, your family will be poor but alive. Everyone wins. Except my family. Except your family. He shrugs. But look at it this way. They'll be alive. That's more than some families get. The casual cruelty of the statement makes my blood boil. I think about the families Julian destroyed before mine. The Harrisons, who lost their home and ended up living in a motel. The Baileys, whose father had a heart attack when he realized his retirement was gone. The Chens, who had to send their children to live with relatives because they couldn't afford to feed them. And I think about my own past life. The shelter. The streets. The river. I'm not going anywhere. I say. Julian's smile fades. That's not the right answer. It's the only answer you're going to get. He moves fast. Faster than I expected. One moment he's standing behind Daphne. The next, he's across the room. The knife pressed against my throat. I feel the cold steel against my skin. The sharp edge pressing just hard enough to threaten. You're brave. He whispers in my ear. I'll give you that. But bravery without intelligence is just stupidity. And you're not stupid. Blair, I know you're not stupid. So let's try this again. He presses the knife harder. A thin line of warmth trickles down my neck. Blood. But not much. Where is the money? The question catches me off guard. What money? The lottery money. His voice is tight. Controlled. The $372 million your father won. The money that should have been mine. My mind races. He knows about the lottery. How? I intercepted the ticket. I replaced it with a losing duplicate. No one should know except the duplicate. I breathe. You found the duplicate. I found the original ticket. The one your father bought. I've been watching him for months. Blair. I knew he played the lottery. I knew he checked his tickets religiously. And when he went to check that ticket and found nothing, I knew something was wrong. Julian's breath is hot against my ear. So I did some digging. And imagine my surprise when I discovered that someone cashed in that ticket under a fake name. Someone who just happened to be the right age, the right height, the right build to be a teenage girl from Greenwich. You can't prove anything. I don't need to prove anything. I just need the money. He pulls the knife away from my throat and steps back, circling around me like a shark. Transfer it to me, and I'll let your sister go. I'll even leave the country. You'll never see me again. And if I refuse, then I'll start with your sister, then your mother, then your father. He stops in front of me, the knife dangling from his fingers. I'll take everything you love. Blair. Not because I want to, but because you left me no choice. I look at Daphne. She's crying now, silent tears streaming down her face, her eyes begging me to do something. Anything. Then I look at Julian. Really look at him. The expensive suit. The perfect hair. The practiced smile. Everything about him is a lie. Constructed to deceive. And for the first time, I realize something important. He's scared. He's not threatening me because he's powerful. He's threatening me because he's desperate. I have something he wants. The money. And he knows he can't get it without my help. All his charm. All his manipulation. All his carefully constructed schemes. None of it matters if I don't cooperate. You're right. I say, I have the money. All 204 million of it. After taxes. It's sitting in 3 different accounts under 3 different names. Earning interest as we speak. Julian's eyes light up. Good girl. Now we're getting somewhere. But you're not getting a cent. The light dims. Blair. You heard me. You're not getting anything. Not from me. Not from my family. Not from anyone. You're going to jail. Julian. Today. He laughs. But it's hollow. And how exactly are you going to make that happen? You're a teenager. I'm a grown man with a knife. The police aren't here. Your family isn't here. It's just us. That's where you're wrong. I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. The screen is lit up. A green bar pulsing at the top. I've been recording this entire conversation. I say, every word, every threat, every confession. And I'm not the only one listening. Julian's face goes white. You're bluffing. Am I? I tap the phone, and a voice comes through the speaker. A man's voice. Authoritative and calm. Julian Thorne. This is Detective Martinez of the NYPD. We have your office surrounded. Drop the weapon and come out with your hands up. Julian stares at the phone, then at me, then at the door, which is suddenly splintering inward as a SWAT team bursts through. Chaos erupts. Men in tactical gear flood the room, shouting commands. Julian drops the knife and raises his hands, his face a mask of disbelief. Daphne is untied, the tape peeled gently from her mouth. She collapses into my arms, sobbing. It's okay. I whisper, holding her tight. It's over. He can't hurt us anymore. But even as I say it, I know it's not true. Julian may be in custody, but the damage he's done isn't easily undone. The $5 million he stole, that's just the beginning. There are other accounts, other transfers, other families who will need to be notified. And then there's my family. My family, who will have to face the fact that they almost lost everything because they trusted the wrong person. As the police lead Julian out in handcuffs, he stops in front of me. His eyes are cold, calculating. Even now, this isn't over. He says quietly, you might have one today, Blair, but I'll be back. I always come back. No, I say, meeting his gaze. You won't. Because I'm going to make sure you spend the rest of your life in a prison cell, wondering what happened to the money you'll never touch. The officers pull him away. I watch him go. And for the first time in 10 years, 2 lifetimes, I feel something I'd forgotten existed. Hope. The days following Julian's arrest are a blur of police interviews, legal consultations, and media attention. The story explodes overnight. Greenwich teen exposes fiancé as serial con artist. And suddenly my face is everywhere. News trucks line our street. Reporters shout questions from behind police barricades. My high school principal calls to offer support while also suggesting I might want to finish the semester remotely. My family is shattered. Daphne hasn't left her room in 3 days. She won't eat. She won't talk. She just lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her engagement ring sitting on the nightstand like a curse. I bring her soup. I bring her tea. I sit with her in silence, holding her hand, waiting for her to speak. On the 4th day, she finally does. He never loved me. Did he? I hesitate. The truth is complicated. Julian loved what Daphne represented. Access, wealth, vulnerability. He loved the idea of her. But the person, the woman who stayed up late worrying about our parents, who sent me care packages at summer camp, who cried at every rom-com she ever watched. No, he never loved that person. No, I say, he didn't. Daphne nods slowly, like she already knew. Then what was I? Just a way to get to the money. You were a way to get to everything. The house, the trust, the connections. You were the key. Daff. That's all. She closes her eyes. A tear slips down her cheek. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid. You're human. He manipulated you. That's what he does. But I should have seen it. I should have known. She opens her eyes. And for the first time, there's something other than despair in them. Anger. You saw it. You tried to warn me. And I called you jealous. I called you paranoid. I told Mom and Dad you were the problem. You didn't know. I should have known. She sits up, her voice cracking. You're my sister. You've never lied to me. Not about anything important. And when you finally came to me with the truth, I threw it back in your face. I sit on the edge of the bed and take both of her hands. Daphne, listen to me. I don't blame you. I could never blame you. Julian is a professional. He's been doing this for years. He knew exactly what to say, exactly how to act, exactly how to make you trust him. That's not your fault. That's his. But I introduced him to Mom and Dad. I brought him into our home. She stops, her breath hitching. I almost got us all killed. You didn't. We're all still here. We're all still alive. I squeeze her hands. And we're going to get through this. Together. She looks at me for a long moment. Then she pulls me into a hug, her body shaking with sobs. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry. I know. I forgive you. We stay like that for a long time, holding each other in the gray afternoon light. And when Daphne finally pulls away, her eyes are red but clear. What happens now? She asks. Now we rebuild. Rebuilding turns out to be harder than I expected. The $5 million Julian stole is gone. Transferred through a series of shell companies and cryptocurrency exchanges that make recovery nearly impossible. The police are investigating. But they're not optimistic. These things take time. The detective tells us. Years. Sometimes. And even then, my father takes the news badly. He's always been proud of his financial acumen, his ability to protect what his father built. Losing $5 million to a con artist his own daughter brought into the family, is a blow he can't easily absorb. I should have listened to you, he says one night, standing in front of the fireplace with a glass of scotch. You told me. You showed me the evidence. And I still almost let him take everything. Dad, don't. He holds up a hand. Don't make excuses for me. I'm a grown man. I should have known better. But I was so focused on what I thought I knew that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. I walk over to stand beside him. The fire crackles, casting shadows across his face. We all make mistakes. I say, the important thing is that we learn from them. My father laughs. But it's bitter. What have I learned? That I can't trust my own judgment. That I'm too old and too stupid to see when someone's playing me. You've learned that you have a daughter who loves you enough to fight for you. I put my hand on his arm. That's not nothing. He looks at me. And for a moment, I see something I haven't seen in years. Pride. Real pride. Not the distracted acknowledgement he used to give me when I brought home good grades. When did you get so wise? He asks. I had a good teacher. Who? I think about the shelter. The streets. The women who helped me survive when I had nothing and no one. The PI who taught me to document everything. The social worker who showed me how to access public records. The other survivors who shared their stories. Their strategies. Their hard-won wisdom. Myself. I say, I learned from myself. It's not a lie. Not really. The media attention finally dies down after 2 weeks. A new scandal breaks. A senator caught in a bribery scheme. And suddenly the news trucks disappear. Our street goes quiet. My high school principal calls to say that remote learning is no longer necessary. But the quiet isn't peaceful. It's the quiet of a family holding its breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because Julian may be in custody, but he hasn't been tried yet. And his lawyer is already making noise about bail. He can't get bail. My mother says at dinner one night, he's a flight risk. He's a con artist. There's no way a judge would. His lawyer is arguing that he has strong community ties. My father interrupts, that he's not a danger to anyone, that the charges are exaggerated. Exaggerated. My mother's voice rises. He held our daughter at knife point. He held a knife. Whether he actually threatened her is a matter of interpretation. The room goes silent. I set down my fork. What do you mean? Interpretation. My father sighs. Julian's lawyer is going to argue that the knife was for show, that he never intended to hurt Daphne, that she was never in any real danger. That's insane. Maybe, but it's what his lawyer is paid to argue. My father rubs his temples. The bail hearing is tomorrow. I've already told the prosecutor that we'll be there. We'll testify if we have to. We will. I say, all of us. Daphne hasn't spoken during this conversation. She's been pushing her food around her plate, her face pale and drawn. But at my words, she looks up. I'll testify, she says quietly. I want to look him in the eye and tell the judge what he did to me. My mother reaches across the table and takes Daphne's hand. We'll be right there with you. For the first time in weeks, the family feels like a family again. Fragile. Broken. But together. The bail hearing is held in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. An imposing building of marble and metal that smells like old paper and anxiety. My family sits in the front row of the gallery, dressed in our best clothes, our faces set in grim determination. Julian is brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. He looks different without his expensive suits. Smaller, somehow, and older. But his eyes are the same. Cold, calculating, unrepentant. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Alyssa Chin, lays out the case against Julian. Fraud, theft, kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon. She presents evidence. Bank records, witness statements, the recording from my phone. She argues that Julian is a danger to the community and a flight risk, and that he should be held without bail. Then Julian's lawyer stands up. He's a silver-haired man in an expensive suit, the kind of lawyer who charges by the minute and earns every dollar. Your Honor, he says, his voice smooth as silk. My client acknowledges that the situation with the Cassidy family is regrettable, but a series of regrettable misunderstandings does not make a man a danger to society. My client has no criminal record. He has strong ties to the community. He is not a flight risk. Your Honor. Alyssa Chin interrupts. The defendant held a 17-year-old girl at knife point. He threatened to kill her and her family. He has stolen millions of dollars from multiple families across multiple states. He is absolutely a flight risk. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and graying hair, looks down at Julian. Mr. Thorne, do you have anything to say for yourself? Julian stands up. His hands are still cuffed, but he holds himself like a man who's used to being in control. Your Honor, I loved Daphne Cassidy. I still love her. The things I said, the things I did, they were mistakes. Mistakes born of fear and desperation. But I am not the monster the prosecution is painting me to be. The gallery murmurs. My mother grips my hand so hard it hurts. Please, Julian continues, his voice breaking in all the right places. Please don't punish me for being human. I made mistakes. I'll pay for them. But I'm not a danger. I'm just a man who fell in love with the wrong woman and didn't know how to let go. It's a performance. A masterful one. I can see some of the jurors, the ones who've been selected for the eventual trial, nodding sympathetically. I stand up. Your Honor. Everyone turns to look at me. The judge raises an eyebrow. Miss Cassidy, I have something to say. I walk down the aisle toward the bench, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Julian Thorne is lying. He's always been lying. He didn't fall in love with my sister. He targeted her. He targeted our family. And he's been doing this for years. Miss Cassidy, this is a bail hearing, not a trial. I know, Your Honor, but I think the court should see this. I hold up a thumb drive. This contains evidence of Julian's crimes going back 15 years. Bank records, witness statements, photographs. Everything the prosecution needs to prove that Julian Thorne is exactly the monster he claims not to be. Julian's lawyer is on his feet. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Sit down. Counsel. The judge looks at me. Miss Cassidy, how did you obtain this evidence? I obtained it legally. Your Honor, through public records and interviews with Julian's previous victims. That's not entirely true. Some of it came from Maria Santos. And some of it came from that thumb drive in Julian's office. But the judge doesn't need to know that. The judge considers for a long moment. Then she nods. Give the drive to the prosecutor. We'll review the contents before making a decision on bail. I hand the drive to Elisachin, who looks at me with something like respect. Then I walk back to my seat and sit down. My father leans over. Where did you get all that? Like I said, I did my homework. 2 hours later, the judge denies bail. Julian is led away in handcuffs, his face twisted with rage. As he passes our row, he spits on the floor. This isn't over. He hisses. No, I agree. It's just beginning. The trial begins 6 months later. On a cold January morning, the courthouse is packed with reporters, victims' families, and curious onlookers who've been following the case in the news. Julian Thorne has become a household name. The Greenwich grifter, the billionaire bachelor bandit, the con artist who almost got away. My family sits in the front row of the gallery, dressed in dark colors like we're attending a funeral. In a way, we are. Not Julian's. The death of the illusion that we were safe, that we were smart, that we couldn't be fooled. Daphne is pale but composed. She's been in therapy for months, working through the trauma of Julian's manipulation. She's dating again. A quiet accountant named Mark who has no idea about her past and doesn't need to know. Today, she's wearing a blue dress that brings out her eyes. And she's holding my hand so tight I can feel her pulse. My mother is sober. Has been for 6 months. She joined AA after Julian's arrest, finally admitting that she'd been using alcohol to cope with a marriage that had grown cold and children who had grown distant. She and my father are in couples counseling now, learning how to talk to each other again. And my father is different, quieter, more reflective. He stepped back from the hedge fund, handing day-to-day operations to his partners so he can focus on the trial and, more importantly, his family. As for me, I'm 18 now. I've been accepted to Columbia University, where I'll start in the fall. I've been offered book deals, movie deals, speaking engagements. I've turned them all down. The money, the $204 million, still sits in those 3 accounts, untouched. I haven't told my family about it. Not yet. There will be a time for that conversation. But this isn't it. All rise. The judge enters. The same judge from the bail hearing. A woman named Margaret Chin. She's been assigned to the case after the original judge recused herself due to a conflict of interest. Judge Chin is known for being tough but fair. And she's made it clear that she won't tolerate any theatrics. The jury is seated. 8 women and 4 men. A cross-section of New York City. They look tired already. And the trial hasn't even started. Julian is brought in, dressed in a gray suit that someone on his legal team picked out to make him look trustworthy. His hair is shorter now, his beard trimmed neatly. He looks like a CEO. Not a con artist. That's the point. The prosecutor, Alyssa Chin, no relation to the judge, gives her opening statement. She's good, sharp, precise, devastating. She lays out the case against Julian in chronological order. The targeting of Daphne, the manipulation of my parents, the theft of $5 million, the kidnapping, the knife. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she concludes, the evidence will show that Julian Thorne is not a businessman. He is not a philanthropist. He is not a loving fiancé. He is a predator. And over the next several weeks, you will see the true face of that predator. Julian's lawyer, the same silver-haired man from the bail hearing, whose name is Harrison Cole, gives his opening statement. He's smooth, charming, everything Julian wishes he could be. My client, Cole says, is not a predator. He is a man who made mistakes. Yes, he is a man who loved too deeply and trusted too easily. But he is not a criminal. The prosecution's case is built on the testimony of a teenage girl with a grudge and a family looking for someone to blame for their own poor decisions. I feel Daphne's grip tighten on my hand. Poor decisions. As if being manipulated by a professional con artist is the same as making a bad investment. The first week of the trial is dedicated to the financial crimes. Forensic accountants take the stand, walking the jury through the maze of shell companies and cryptocurrency transfers that Julian used to launder the Cassidy money. It's dry, technical, and devastating. By the end of the week, even Julian's lawyer looks worried. The second week is about the previous victims. Maria Santos takes the stand, her voice steady as she describes 12 years of marriage to a man she didn't recognize. The Harrisons testify about losing their home. The Baileys talk about the shame of being conned. The Chens describe sending their children away because they couldn't afford to feed them. Each story is a stone in the pile, building a mountain of evidence against Julian. The third week is the kidnapping. Daphne is the first to testify. She walks to the stand like she's walking to her execution. Her shoulders back and her chin high. She's terrified. I can see it in the way her hands shake as she's sworn in. But she doesn't run. Miss Cassidy, Alyssa Chin begins. Can you describe your relationship with the defendant? Daphne takes a deep breath. I thought I was in love with him. I thought he was the man I was going to marry. I thought he wanted to help my family. And what did he actually want? He wanted our money. He wanted access to our accounts. He wanted to take everything we had and leave us with nothing. The courtroom is silent. Even the reporters have stopped typing. On the day of your rescue, Alyssa continues. What happened? Daphne's voice wavers. But she doesn't stop. He called me and said he wanted to go over the prenuptial agreement. He said we could do it at his office. I trusted him. So I went. When I got there, he locked the door and told me that if I didn't cooperate, he would hurt my family. Did he hurt you? He tied me to a chair. He put tape over my mouth. He held a knife to my throat. She looks directly at Julian for the first time. He told me that if Blair didn't give him what he wanted, he would kill me. The jury shifts in their seats. Several of them are looking at Julian with expressions of disgust. Thank you, Miss Cassidy. Alyssa turns to Harrison Cole. Your witness. Cole approaches the stand, his expression sympathetic. Miss Cassidy, you've been through a terrible ordeal. I'm sorry for what you've experienced. Daphne doesn't respond. Now, Cole continues. You testified that my client told you he would hurt your family if you didn't cooperate. Can you tell us exactly what he said? Daphne's joy tightens. He said, if Blair doesn't give me what I want, I'll start with your sister, then your mother, then your father. And did he say when he would do these things? No. Did he say how? No. Did he make any specific threats about harming your family members? Or did he just make vague statements? The trap is obvious. Cole is trying to make it seem like Julian's threats were vague, nonsensical. The ramblings of a desperate man rather than a calculated plan. He said he had a knife. Daphne says, "That seemed pretty specific to me." "I'm asking about the threats to your family." Miss Cassidy, "Not to you. He threatened to hurt them." That's all I remember. Thank you. Cole turns to the jury. No further questions. Alyssa redirects. Miss Cassidy, when the defendant threatened to hurt your family, did you believe him? Yes. Why? Because he was holding a knife to my throat. The jury nods. Alyssa sits down. Daphne steps down from the stand and walks back to our row, her legs shaking. I wrap an arm around her as she collapses into her seat. You did good. I whisper. I hope so. I'm the final witness. When my name is called, I walk to the stand with a calm I don't feel. I've been preparing for this moment for months. Years. If you count my past life, I know what Cole is going to ask. I know how he's going to try to trip me up. I know that he's going to attack my credibility, my age, my motives. Miss Cassidy. Alyssa Chin begins. Can you tell the jury how you first became suspicious of the defendant? I take a deep breath. I had a dream. A very vivid dream. In the dream, Julian Thorne destroyed my family. He took our money, our house, everything. And then he left my sister with nothing. Objection. Cole says. Speculation. Overruled. Judge Chin says. The witness can describe her state of mind. Go on. Alyssa says. In the dream, I saw everything. The way he manipulated my parents. The way he isolated Daphne. The way he moved money out of our accounts. When I woke up, I knew I had to do something. And what did you do? I started watching him. I started documenting everything. Every gift. Every meeting. Every innocent conversation about money. I built a case. Did you ever break into the defendant's office? Yes. Did you ever steal documents from that office? Yes. And did you ever record conversations with the defendant without his knowledge? Yes. Cole is on his feet. Your Honor, the witness is admitting to multiple crimes. Her testimony should be stricken. Sit down. Counsel. Judge Chin looks at me. Miss Cassidy, you understand that you're confessing to illegal acts on the witness stand? Yes, Your Honor. And you understand that these confessions could have legal consequences for you? Yes, Your Honor. And you're making them anyway. I look at Julian. He's staring at me with an expression I can't read. Hatred. Maybe. Or admiration. It doesn't matter. Yes, Your Honor. Because the truth is more important than my freedom. The courtroom buzzes. Reporters scramble to type. Even the jury looks impressed. Alyssa Chin continues. Miss Cassidy, why did you take these actions? Why didn't you just go to the police? Because the police wouldn't have believed me. I was a teenager with no evidence and a story that sounded like paranoia. I needed proof. So I got it. And did you get it? Yes. I got everything. I look at the jury. The defendant is guilty of every crime he's been charged with. He stole from my family. He threatened my sister. He would have done worse if I hadn't stopped him. I broke the law to stop him. And I would do it again. Harrison Cole's cross-examination is brutal. Miss Cassidy, he begins. You testified that you had a dream that led you to suspect my client. Is that correct? Yes. So you're asking this jury to believe that you, a teenage girl, had a prophetic dream that just happened to reveal a complex criminal conspiracy. I'm asking them to believe that my dream made me pay attention to things I would otherwise have ignored. And these things you paid attention to, did you ever misinterpret them? Did you ever see something innocent and assume it was guilty? I'm sure I did. Did you ever spy on my client without his knowledge? Yes. Did you ever lie to your family about your activities? Yes. Did you ever manipulate your sister into distrusting the man she loved? I stop. Cole is good. He's very good. I told Daphne the truth. What she did with that truth was up to her. But you manipulated her, didn't you? You showed her evidence that you had obtained illegally. You played on her fears. You turned her against my client. I showed her the truth. The truth as you interpreted it. Cole turns to the jury. No further questions. I step down from the stand. My heart is pounding. My palms sweaty. I don't know if I helped or hurt the case. But it's too late now. The trial is in the jury's hands. The jury deliberates for 3 days. On the 3rd day, they return with a verdict. The courtroom is packed. My family sits together, holding hands across the aisle. Julian sits at the defense table, his face impassive. Harrison Cole fiddles with his tie. Has the jury reached a verdict? Judge Chin asks. The foreman, a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes, stands up. We have, Your Honor. Read the verdict. The foreman unfolds a piece of paper. Her voice is steady as she reads. On the charge of wire fraud, we find the defendant guilty. Julian's face doesn't change. On the charge of bank fraud, we find the defendant guilty. My mother squeezes my hand. On the charge of kidnapping, we find the defendant guilty. Daphne gasps. On the charge of assault with a deadly weapon, we find the defendant guilty. The courtroom erupts. Reporters rush for the doors. Julian's family, his real family, the one Maria Santos represents, bursts into tears. Judge Chin bangs her gavel. Order. Order in the court. When the room finally quiets, she looks down at Julian. Mr. Thorne, you have been convicted of serious crimes. You will be remanded to federal custody pending sentencing. Given the severity of your offenses, I am ordering a pre-sentence investigation. Sentencing will take place in 60 days. Julian is led away in handcuffs. As he passes our row, he stops. You think you've won, he says quietly. But you haven't. I'll be out in 10 years. 15. Max. And when I get out, I'll find you. All of you. I stand up. I'm taller than him now. Or maybe he just seems smaller. You won't find us. I say, because we won't be where you left us. We'll be somewhere else. Living our lives. Being happy. And you'll be in a prison cell, wondering what might have been if you hadn't been so greedy. For the first time, Julian's mask slips. I see the man underneath. The anger. The fear. The desperation. You're just a kid. He spits. And you're just a loser. I smile. Enjoy prison. Julian. The officers pull him away. The last thing I see is his face, twisted with rage. As the doors close behind him, it's over. Sentencing happens 60 days later. Just as Judge Chin promised, Julian Thorne is sentenced to 25 years in federal prison, with the possibility of parole after 15. It's not as long as I hoped, but it's long enough. 15 years is a lifetime. By the time Julian gets out, I'll be 33. My parents will be in their 60s. Daphne will be pushing 40. We'll be different people. We'll be safe. The media attention dies down after the sentencing. A new scandal takes its place. Something about a tech CEO and a secret cryptocurrency. And suddenly no one cares about the Greenwich grifter anymore. The news trucks disappear. The reporters stop calling. Our street goes quiet. And my family is left to pick up the pieces. Daphne starts dating Mark openly now, no longer afraid of what people might think. She's happy, genuinely happy, in a way I haven't seen since before Julian. She laughs more. She smiles more. She's become the sister I remember from childhood, the one who used to braid my hair and sneak me cookies before dinner. My mother stays sober. She's started painting again. Real paintings. Not the commercial stuff she used to churn out for galleries. Her work is darker now, more honest, and somehow more beautiful. She's having her first solo exhibition in the fall. My father retires. Not completely. He still consults for the hedge fund. But he's stopped living at the office. He and my mother go for walks together. They cook dinner together. They're learning how to be married again. How to be present. How to be a family. And me. I start Columbia in the fall. I'm majoring in psychology, with a minor in criminal justice. I want to understand people like Julian. What makes them tick? What drives them to destroy? Maybe I'll write a book someday. Maybe I'll become a consultant for families like mine. Maybe I'll just live a quiet life and never think about con artists again. But there's one thing I haven't done. One conversation I've been putting off for months. The money. I wait until after dinner one night, when the family is sitting in the living room, comfortable and relaxed. My mother is reading a book. My father is watching the news. Daphne is scrolling through her phone, texting Mark. I have something to tell you. I say. They all look up. What is it? Honey, my mother asks. I take a deep breath. Remember the lottery ticket? The one Dad bought last year. My father frowns. The losing ticket. It wasn't losing. I pause, letting that sink in. It was a winner. $372 million. The room goes silent. My mother sets down her book. My father turns off the TV. Daphne drops her phone. What are you talking about? My father asks. I'm talking about the Powerball ticket you bought on May 8th. The one you kept in the breast pocket of your blazer. The one I replaced with a losing duplicate the morning you would have found it. You replaced it. My father's voice is strange. Not angry. Not yet. Just confused. I had to. In my dream. The one I told you about. You found that ticket. You announced it at dinner. Daphne called Julian. And by the end of the week, he had his hooks in so deep that we never got them out. So you hid the money. Daphne says slowly. You hid it to protect us. Yes. And Julian knew about it. He figured it out. When he couldn't find the ticket, he started digging. That's why he was so desperate at the end. He knew the money was out there. And he knew I had it. My mother is crying. I can't tell if it's relief or betrayal. Where is the money now? My father asks. Safe. In 3 different accounts under 3 different names. It's been earning interest for the past year. It's worth about $210 million now. $210 million. My father shakes his head. Blair, that's more money than I've made in my entire career. I know. And you just hid it. For a year. I had to. If I had told you about it, you would have wanted to spend it. And Julian would have found out. And everything I was trying to prevent would have happened anyway. My father stands up. He walks to the window and stares out at the darkening sky. I don't know whether to hug you or ground you. He says. Maybe both. He laughs. A real laugh. The first I've heard from him in months. Then he turns around and pulls me into a hug. You saved us. He says into my hair. You saved all of us. I did what I had to do. No. He pulls back, holding me at arm's length. You did what no one else was brave enough to do. You saw a threat and you neutralized it. You protected this family when we couldn't protect ourselves. Daphne stands up. She walks over to me. Her eyes wet. I'm sorry, she says. For everything. For not believing you. For choosing him over you. For almost destroying us. You didn't almost destroy us. Daph. He did. But I helped him. I opened the door. I let him in. And now you're closing it. I take her hands. That's what matters. Not the mistakes we made, but what we do next. She hugs me. And I hug her back. And for a moment, we're not the fractured family that almost fell apart. We're the Cassidys. The ones who survived. My mother is the last to speak. She's been sitting on the couch, watching us. Her tears finally slowing. What do we do now? She asks. With the money. I've been thinking about this for months. Years. If you count my past life, the money is a gift and a curse, a chance to rebuild, but also a temptation to repeat the mistakes of the past. We use it wisely. I say, we pay off the house. We set up trusts for Daphne's future kids, if she has them. We donate some to charity. Victims of fraud, especially. And the rest. I look at my father. The rest we invest. Carefully. Conservatively. With people we trust. And what about you? My father asks, what do you want? I think about the shelter. The streets. The women who helped me survive. The ones who didn't. I want to help people. I say, people like us. People who got conned and didn't have a second chance. I want to build something that protects them. A foundation. Maybe. A resource center. Somewhere they can go when they don't know who to trust. My mother nods slowly. That's a beautiful idea. It's not just an idea. I've already started. I pull out my phone and show them the website I've been building. The Cassidy Foundation. Dedicated to fraud prevention and victim support. I've been working on this for months. Quietly. I wanted to wait until the trial was over before I launched it. Daphne looks at the website. Her eyes wide. Blair, this is incredible. It's just the beginning. My father puts his arm around my mother. My mother leans into him. Daphne stands beside me. Her hand on my shoulder. We're not the same family we were before Julian. We're different. More cautious. More aware. More connected. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the cracks in our foundation let in light we couldn't see before. That night, I lie awake in my bed and think about everything that's happened. The first timeline, where I lost everything and ended up in the river. This timeline, where I fought back and won. The $200 million sitting in accounts I can access with a few clicks. I think about Julian, sitting in a prison cell somewhere, counting the days until his release. 15 years. That's a long time. Long enough for me to build an empire of protection around my family. Long enough for me to become someone he wouldn't dare threaten. And I think about the future. Colombia. The foundation. The life I'm going to build. Not despite what happened, but because of it. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Enjoy your victory. Blair. It won't last. I delete the message without responding. Julian may have found a way to contact me from prison. Through a guard. A smuggled phone. Who knows? It doesn't matter. He can't touch me. He can't touch my family. I set my phone on the nightstand and close my eyes. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and start the next chapter of my life. I'll go to Colombia. I'll build the foundation. I'll watch my family heal and grow and become the people they were always meant to be. And Julian Thorne will rot in a prison cell, wondering what might have been if he hadn't tried to con the wrong family. The money stays hidden. The family stays safe. And I stay ready. Because predators like Julian never really stop hunting. They just wait for new prey. But I'll be waiting too. And this time, I won't be alone. 6 months after Julian's sentencing, I walk into the Federal Correctional Institution in Otisville, New York, with a tape recorder in my pocket and a question burning on my tongue. The visiting room is gray and cold, divided by a thick sheet of plexiglass. On the other side sits Julian Thorne, his orange jumpsuit hanging loose on a frame that's already starting to soften from prison food and inactivity. He looks surprised to see me. Blair Cassidy, he says, picking up the phone on his side of the glass. To what do I owe the pleasure? I pick up my phone. I want to know about the others. What others? The ones before my family. The ones we didn't find at trial. I lean closer to the glass. The ones you're still protecting. Julian's smile is slow and cold. You think I'm protecting someone? Sweetheart, I'm in prison for 25 years. I'm not protecting anyone but myself. You're protecting your network. The people who helped you set up the shell companies. The people who laundered the money. The people who are still out there, doing exactly what you did, because you won't give them up. And why would I give them up? They're my ticket out of here. He sets down his phone and gestures to the guard, signaling that he's done. But before he can hang up, I speak again. I found the Cayman accounts. He freezes. The ones you thought no one knew about. The ones with the real money. The money you didn't steal from us, but from the Harrisons, the Baileys, the Chens, the money you've been hiding for years. I hold up a folder. I found them. Julian. All of them. He picks up the phone again. His knuckles white. You're lying. I'm not. And here's the thing. I'm willing to make a deal. You give me the names of everyone in your network. Everyone who helped you. Everyone who's still operating. And I'll make sure that money goes back to the people you stole it from. Or what? Or I turn everything over to the FBI. Not just the accounts. The evidence that you've been running this operation from inside prison. The smuggled phone. The guards you've bribed. The messages you've been sending to your contacts on the outside. I smile. You think I didn't know about the text? The one you sent me the night after the trial. I traced it. Julian. I know exactly which guard gave you that phone. For the first time since I've known him. Julian looks afraid. What do you really want? He asks. The truth. All of it. And then I want you to disappear. No more texts. No more threats. No more trying to reach my family. You leave us alone. And I leave you alone. Deal. He stares at me for a long moment. Then he laughs. A hollow, broken sound. You're something else. Blair Cassidy. You know that. So I've been told. Fine. He glances at the guard. Then back at me. I'll give you the names. But not here. Not like this. You want information. You come back next week. Alone. And you bring me something in return. What? A letter. From Daphne. I want to know she's okay. The request catches me off guard. Why? Because I did love her. Not the way I should have. Not the way she deserved. But I loved her. His voice cracks. Just slightly. Is that so hard to believe? I think about it. About the way Julian looked at Daphne when he thought no one was watching. About the small kindnesses he showed her that had nothing to do with money. About the way he held her hand at dinner. The way he tucked her hair behind her ear. The way he said her name like it meant something. Maybe it did. Maybe in his twisted, broken way. Julian Thorne really did love my sister. Maybe that's the saddest part of all. I'll talk to her. I say. No promises. Fair enough. I stand up to leave. But Julian stops me with a gesture. One more thing. He says. The person you're really looking for. The one running everything. It's not me. It's never been me. What are you talking about? Ask your mother about her first husband. The one before Richard. The one she never talks about. He sets down the phone and turns away, signaling the guard that he's done. I stand there for a long moment. The phone buzzing in my hand. My mother's first husband. She's never mentioned a first husband. As far as I know. She met my father in college, and they've been together ever since. But Julian wouldn't lie about something like this. Not now. Not when he has nothing left to gain. I walk out of the prison in a daze. The folder tucked under my arm. My mind racing. The Cayman accounts. The network. My mother's first husband. What the hell have I stumbled into? That evening, I confront my mother. She's in her art studio, painting a landscape that looks like nothing I've ever seen. Dark, swirling colors, storm clouds gathering over a field of wheat. She doesn't hear me come in. I stand in the doorway for a minute, watching her work, trying to figure out how to start this conversation. Mom. She jumps, her brush leaving a streak of red across the canvas. Blair, you scared me. Sorry. I walk into the studio and sit on the stool by her easel. I need to ask you something. About before Dad. My mother's face goes still. What do you mean? Before you married Dad, were you married to someone else? The brush slips from her fingers and clatters to the floor. She doesn't pick it up. She just stands there, frozen, her face pale. Who told you about that? Julian. Julian. She laughs. But it's brittle. Blair, you can't believe anything that man says. He's a convicted felon. He's telling the truth. Isn't he? I watch her face, looking for the lie. You were married before. To someone else. Someone you've never told us about. My mother sinks onto the stool next to me. For a long moment, she doesn't speak. When she finally does, her voice is barely a whisper. His name was Marcus. Marcus Thorne. The world tilts on its axis. Thorne. He was Julian's uncle. Marcus Thorne. He was not a good man. She looks at her hands, twisting in her lap. I met him when I was 19. He was 35. Charming. Sophisticated. Rich. Everything a young artist could want. He swept me off my feet. And within 6 months, we were married. What happened? He happened. My mother's eyes are distant, lost in a memory she's tried to bury for decades. Marcus was like Julian. Worse. Maybe. He was controlling, manipulative, cruel. He isolated me from my friends, my family, my work. He told me I was lucky to have him, that no one else would want me, that I was nothing without his money. Mom, I stayed for 3 years. 3 years of walking on eggshells, of bruises hidden under long sleeves, of smiling at parties like everything was perfect. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. And then one day, I found out I was pregnant. I feel the blood drain from my face. Pregnant. The baby was a girl. I named her Grace. She was born premature. And she didn't make it. My mother's voice breaks. Marcus blamed me. Said I wasn't strong enough to carry his child. Said I'd killed his daughter. Oh, Mom. I reach for her hand, but she pulls away. After Grace died, I knew I had to leave. I waited until Marcus was on a business trip. And I packed everything I could carry and I ran. I changed my name. I moved across the country. I met your father. And I told myself that the past was the past and I never had to think about it again. But Julian found out. Julian found out because Marcus told him. Before Marcus died. Cancer. 10 years ago. He told Julian everything. About me. About the baby. About the money. What money? My mother looks at me. Her eyes hollow. Marcus was rich. Blair. Very rich. And when I left him, I took something with me. Not money. Something more valuable. A ledger. A record of every crime Marcus had ever committed. Every person he'd ever hurt. I kept it as insurance. In case he ever came looking for me. Where is it now? In a safe deposit box. Under my maiden name. The name Marcus never knew. She stands up. Her legs unsteady. I've been carrying that secret for 30 years. And now Julian wants it. That's what this has always been about. Not the lottery money. Not the trust. The ledger. The pieces click into place. Julian didn't target our family because of the lottery. He targeted us because of my mother. Because she had something he wanted. Something that could destroy the network his uncle built. The network Julian is still protecting. He's not the mastermind. I say slowly. He never was. He's just a foot soldier. The real criminals are still out there. My mother nods. And now they know about you. About what you did. About what you're capable of. Then we need to move faster. I stand up, my mind racing. The ledger. Mom, I need to see it. Why? Because Julian gave me names. Names of the people in his network. But he said something else. He said the person I'm really looking for isn't him. It's never been him. I grab my mother's hands. The ledger might tell us who that person is. My mother hesitates. Then she nods. Okay, but not tonight. Tonight, we rest. Tomorrow, we go to the bank. That night, I lie awake in bed and think about my mother, about the life she lived before us, the pain she carried, the secrets she kept. I think about Grace, the sister I never knew I had, the sister who died before I was born. And I think about Julian, sitting in his prison cell, playing the long game even now. He didn't give me those names out of the kindness of his heart. He gave them to me because he wants something in return. The ledger. The insurance policy my mother has been holding for 3 decades. But what's in that ledger that's worth more than his freedom? I don't sleep. At 6 a.m., I'm in the kitchen, drinking coffee and waiting for my mother to wake up. She comes downstairs at 7. Her eyes red but her jaw set. Ready? She asks. Ready. We drive to the bank in silence. The safe deposit box is in the basement, behind a door that requires 2 keys. One from my mother. One from the bank manager. The manager, a nervous man named Mr. Patterson, leads us to the box and then leaves us alone. My mother's hands shake as she opens the box. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, is a leather-bound ledger. It's old. Yellowed pages. Cracked spine. But the writing inside is clear and precise. I open it to the first page. Marcus Thorne. Born 1955. Criminal enterprises include money laundering, securities fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and 1 count of manslaughter. The list goes on. Names, dates, transactions, account numbers, shell companies, offshore holdings. It's a roadmap to an empire of crime. And at the center of that empire, one name appears again and again. Eleanor Vance. My mother's maiden name. Mom, I say slowly, why is your name in here? My mother takes the ledger from my hands. Her face is pale, but her voice is steady. Because I wasn't just Marcus's victim. Blair. I was his partner. The words hang in the air like a guillotine blade. I stare at my mother, the woman who painted with me on rainy afternoons, who made me soup when I was sick, who held my hand at Julian's trial. And I don't recognize her. What do you mean? Partner. My mother sits down on the bench next to the safe deposit boxes. She's holding the ledger like it's a bomb that might go off. When I met Marcus, I was young and stupid and hungry for a life that wasn't the one I'd been given. He offered me that life, but it came with a price. What price? He needed someone to manage the books. Someone who looked innocent, who wouldn't raise suspicion. I was an art student. No one ever suspects an artist of being a criminal. She laughs. But it's hollow. I learned quickly. I learned how to move money, how to hide assets, how to make millions of dollars disappear into accounts that didn't exist. I was good at it. Better than Marcus. Even. So you helped him. I helped him for 3 years. 3 years of lying, stealing, destroying lives. And then I found out I was pregnant. And everything changed. Because of Grace. Because of Grace. My mother's voice breaks. I couldn't bring a child into that world. I couldn't raise a daughter to be like me. Or worse, to be like Marcus. So I took the ledger and I ran. I changed my name. I buried my past. And I told myself that as long as I never went back, I could be a different person. Mom, I met your father. I fell in love. I had you and Daphne. And for a while, I almost believed that the woman who helped Marcus Thorne steal millions of dollars had never existed. She looks at me, her eyes wet. But she did exist. Blair. She still exists. And Julian knows. Is that why he targeted us? Not for the lottery money. For the ledger. Yes. Marcus told him about the ledger before he died. Julian has been looking for it for years. When he found out I was Eleanor Vance. When he connected me to the Cassidy family. He knew he had a way in. He dated Daphne to get to you. To get to the ledger. My mother nods. He never loved her. He never loved anyone. He's just like Marcus. A predator who uses people to get what he wants. I sit down next to her. The ledger sits between us. Heavy with secrets. What's in this book that's so important? Why does Julian want it so badly? My mother opens the ledger to a page near the back. The handwriting changes here. It's not Marcus's scrawl, but my mother's neat cursive. These are the names. She says. The real names. The people Marcus was working for. The ones above him. The ones who gave him orders. Julian isn't the mastermind. Blair. He's not even the second in command. The people running this operation are billionaires. Politicians. People with so much power that they've never been held accountable for anything in their lives. I scan the list. Some of the names I recognize. Senators. CEOs. A Supreme Court justice's son. Others are unfamiliar. But the positions they hold make my blood run cold. If this got out, I say slowly, it would destroy people. It would start a war. My mother agrees. That's why Julian wants it. Not to expose it. To use it. To blackmail the people on this list into giving him whatever he wants. Freedom. Money. Power. And if we give it to the FBI is compromised. Half the people on that list have agents in their pockets. If we turn over the ledger, it will disappear. And so will we. The weight of it all crashes down on me. The lottery money. The trial. The foundation I've been building. None of it matters if the people Julian answers to are still out there. Still operating. Still destroying lives. Then what do we do? My mother closes the ledger and holds it against her chest. We do what I should have done 30 years ago. We burn it. Burn it. Mom, this is evidence. This is a death sentence. Blair, as long as this book exists, we're targets. Julian will never stop looking for it. The people on this list will never stop looking for it. The only way to be safe is to destroy it. And let them get away with everything. My mother's eyes are hard. There's no justice in this world. Blair, there's only survival. I learned that from Marcus. I learned it again from Julian. And now you're going to learn it too. I look at the ledger. At the names. At the secrets that could change the world if they were exposed. And I make a decision. No. No. We're not burning it. We're not hiding it. We're going to use it. Blair. Not the way Julian wants to use it. Not for blackmail or power or money. We're going to use it the right way. I pull out my phone and dial a number I've memorized. We're going to give it to someone who can actually do something with it. Who? The phone rings. A voice answers. Gruff. Tired. Familiar. Detective Martinez. It's Blair Cassidy. I need your help. The detective from Julian's arrest. The one who led the SWAT team into the office. Has been following the case ever since. He's one of the good ones. I've learned. A man who actually cares about justice. Not just convictions. We meet him at a diner in Brooklyn. Away from the prying eyes of Manhattan. My mother is pale but determined. The ledger sits in my backpack. Wrapped in the same oilcloth my mother used to hide it for 30 years. Detective Martinez is older than I remember. Grayer. Wearier. He's been working on Julian's case for months. Chasing leads that go nowhere. Hitting walls that seem insurmountable. You said you had something for me, he says, sipping his coffee. I pull out the ledger and slide it across the table. This is everything. The names. The accounts. The transactions. Julian's entire network. Going back 30 years. Martinez opens the ledger. His eyes widen as he reads. Where did you get this? My mother. I say. She was involved with Marcus Thorne, Julian's uncle. Martinez looks at my mother. She doesn't flinch. I was young. She says quietly. I was stupid. And I've spent 30 years trying to make up for it. Martinez closes the ledger. His face is unreadable. Do you know what you're giving me? I know it's enough to bring down half the politicians in Washington. It's enough to get you killed. He leans across the table. The people in this book, they don't play nice. They don't follow rules. If they find out you gave this to me, they'll come after you. After your family. I know. And you're okay with that. I think about Daphne. About my father. About the life we've been building. The peace we've been finding. No. I admit. But I'm not okay with letting them get away with it either. Someone has to stop them. Someone has to be brave enough to try. Martinez stares at me for a long moment. Then he nods. I'll need to make copies. Secure copies. Places no one will find them. He stands up, tucking the ledger into his jacket. And I'll need you to stay quiet. No social media. No interviews. No talking to anyone about this. How long? Months. Maybe years. These things take time. We'll wait. Martinez walks out of the diner, the ledger hidden under his arm. My mother watches him go, her eyes haunted. Did we do the right thing? She asks. I don't know. I say, but we did something. That's more than most people ever do. The months that follow are tense. Every phone call could be bad news. Every knock on the door could be the FBI. Or worse, the people Julian answers to. But the knock never comes. The calls are always from friends, from family, from the foundation I'm still building. And then, one day, Detective Martinez calls. It's done, he says. The FBI raided 14 locations this morning. They arrested 23 people, including 3 senators and a congressman. Julian Thorne has been moved to a maximum security facility. He's not getting out. I sink onto my bed. My legs weak. It's over. It's over. The ledger was everything you said it would be. We're still going through the evidence. But, Blair, you saved a lot of lives. More than you'll ever know. What about my mother? Your mother's name came up in the investigation. But given her cooperation and the circumstances, the prosecutor has agreed not to press charges. She's free. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Thank you, Detective. Thank you. Blair, you're one of the bravest people I've ever met. He hangs up. I sit in the silence of my room, the weight of the past year finally lifting. My mother is free. My family is safe. And the people who tried to destroy us are going to prison. For the first time since I woke up in my childhood bedroom with 10 years of memories burning in my brain, I allow myself to believe that everything is going to be okay. 5 years later, I stand on the stage of the Kennedy Center, accepting an award I never thought I'd receive. The Cassidy Foundation has grown beyond anything I imagined. Offices in 3 cities, a staff of 40, and a track record of helping over 2,000 families recover from financial fraud. The award is called the Guardian Angel, and it's given to people who've made extraordinary contributions to consumer protection. I didn't do it alone. Of course. My mother designed our logo, a phoenix rising from flames, wings outstretched. My father manages our investments, ensuring that every dollar donated goes directly to the people who need it. And Daphne runs our social media, sharing stories of survivors, building a community of people who refuse to be victims. Even Mark helps, doing our books pro bono because he believes in the mission. As I accept the award, I look out at the audience and see them all. My family, my team, the survivors who've become my friends, my mentors, my reason for getting up in the morning. And I think about the journey that brought me here. The lottery ticket, the money, the lies I told to protect the people I love, the truth I finally uncovered about my mother, about Marcus, about the network of criminals who nearly destroyed us all. We have a saying at the foundation: I say into the microphone. The opposite of fraud isn't honesty. It's community. Because fraud thrives in isolation. It grows in the dark, in the silence, in the spaces where people are too ashamed to ask for help. The audience is quiet, listening. When I was 17, I had a dream that my family lost everything to a man who pretended to love us. That dream scared me so much that I did things I'm not proud of. I lied. I stole. I broke the law. But I also saved my family. I pause, looking down at the award in my hands. I'm not telling you this because I think what I did was right. I'm telling you because I want you to understand that sometimes the people who save us aren't heroes. They're just ordinary people who refuse to give up. The applause is deafening. I step down from the stage and walk into the arms of my family. Daphne is crying. My father is beaming. My mother holds me tight and whispers, "I'm so proud of you." After the ceremony, we go back to the hotel suite and order room service. Champagne, steak, chocolate cake. We eat and laugh and remember the dark days, the ones we thought would never end. I have something to tell you, I say, setting down my fork. They all look at me. The money, the lottery money. I've been thinking about what to do with it. You've already done so much, my father says. The foundation is separate. That's donor money. I'm talking about my money. The $204 million that's been sitting in those accounts for 5 years. Daphne frowns. What do you want to do with it? I want to give it away. The room goes silent. Not all of it. I add quickly. I'm keeping enough to live on. But the rest, I want to donate it to the families Julian hurt, to the survivors of Marcus Thorne's network, to the people who didn't have a Blair Cassidy to save them. My mother reaches across the table and takes my hand. Are you sure? She asks. I've never been more sure of anything. She nods slowly. Then I'll help you. I know the names. The families. The ones who never got justice. Me too. Daphne says, I want to help. My father sighs, not with disappointment, but with resignation. You Cassidys, he says, you're going to give away my entire retirement, aren't you? We laugh. It's a good laugh. The kind that comes from deep in the belly, from people who've survived the worst and come out the other side. Don't worry, Dad. I say, I saved enough for you too. He raises his glass. To Blair, the girl who saved us all. We clink glasses. The champagne is cold and sweet. And for a moment, everything is perfect. The next morning, I visit Julian. He's in a maximum security facility now, far from the comforts of Otisville. The visiting room is smaller, grimmer, with no plexiglass. Just a table and 2 chairs and a guard who watches every move. Julian looks old. His hair is gray, his face lined, his eyes hollow. The 5 years have not been kind to him. Blair, he says, sitting down across from me. I was wondering when you'd come. I've been busy. I heard. The foundation. The award. Very impressive. I didn't come here for your approval. No. He leans back in his chair. You came here to gloat. I came here to thank you. Julian's eyebrows rise. Thank me. If you hadn't targeted my family, I never would have found the strength to fight back. I never would have learned the truth about my mother. I never would have built the foundation. I lean forward. You made me who I am, Julian. And I wanted to say, thank you. He stares at me for a long moment. Then he laughs. A real laugh. Surprised and genuine. You're insane. You know that. So I've been told. Why are you really here? I pull out a piece of paper and slide it across the table. The families you hurt. The ones whose money you stole. I'm giving it back. All of it. Every dollar you took from them. Plus interest. Julian looks at the paper. His hands shake. Why? Because that's what justice looks like. Not revenge. Not punishment. Justice. You're a fool. Blair Cassidy. Those families won't thank you. They'll take your money and disappear. They won't care about your foundation or your mission or your mother's guilt. Maybe, but that's not why I'm doing it. I stand up. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And because I can. I turn to leave. Blair. I stop. Your mother. Julian says. The ledger. Did you really give it to the FBI? I did. Why? You could have used it. You could have been the most powerful person in the country. I don't want power. Julian. I want peace. I walk out of the visiting room and don't look back. The sun is bright outside, warm on my face. I take a deep breath and feel the weight of the past 5 years lift off my shoulders. The money is gone. Donated. Distributed. Given away. The foundation is thriving. My family is healing. And I am free. As I walk to my car, my phone buzzes. A text from Daphne. Mark proposed. I said yes. For real this time. I laugh out loud, startling a woman walking past me. Congratulations. I text back. I'm so happy for you. You'll be my maid of honor. Right. Try and stop me. I get in the car and drive home. The windows down. The music up. The road stretches out in front of me. Endless and bright. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if there are more Julians out there. More predators waiting to strike. But I know one thing for certain. I'll be ready. Not because I'm special. Not because I have money or power or a second chance at life. But because I have something more important. I have my family. And I have hope.